remain hopeful and aspirational in light of what is probably the most important presidential election we've ever had. One of the ways I stay hopeful as an advocate is actually through framing. When we are telling stories about the possible futures ahead of us and what we can do to change things for the better, my purpose in telling stories like that is to engender a sense of hope and motivation and efficacy in my audiences. But I find that has a role on me as a communicator and as an advocate as well. And I think it's really important that we learn to tell those future-oriented stories and to tell them well.
I think that's absolutely right. And our research is telling us just how important that is because of where people tend to default to if we don't. In some recent focus groups that we did, we asked participants to envision a positive future precisely because we have seen so much pessimism across our research over the last few years. We asked them to imagine that it was 2050 and that things have gone as well as they possibly could. We wanted them to describe to us what the world looked like and how we got there. And what we found is that people really struggled with the exercise. They had a hard time envisioning a positive future. When they did come up with something, they tended to fall back on one of two things, either technology, so there was an appeal to AI in particular as something that could come in and help fix things almost in a magical kind of way by stepping in, maybe even displacing political parties and running the country for us. Or people defaulted to the idea of charismatic leadership, a leader who could come in and fix things for us. So there was talk about The Rock, for instance, stepping in. So in each of these cases, we see this hope for someone, something to come in from the outside to step in and fix things because people really struggle to imagine how we ourselves could actually fix things. In response to that, we need to be able to give people some sort of positive vision of what the world could look like and how they could be part of it that provides an alternative to those somewhat dystopian scenarios.
Yeah, so those solutions stories that we can lift up, what's working, how did we get there, what's the role that we played in our own nonprofit, how did others contribute with their expertise and their point of view, any of those kinds of success stories, stories of big victories, but even smaller moments of ingenuity or incremental progress, continuing to frame that things are getting better and we can make a difference, I think is going to be part of the solution. And if we see ourselves in 2025 in a situation we really wish we weren't in, I think it's important to remember that that's been the case for every leader in a movement across time. The work we do is not the work of 2, 4, or 6 years. It's often the work of a generation or more. Narrative shifts unroll not in a matter of months or years, but decades. And so whether we're looking at the civil rights movement, the movement for environmental justice, workers' movement, students' movements, those always unfold across a much longer span of time. And so keeping that perspective and understanding that we are doing the work of this season, but also of many seasons, is a way to stay positive and hopeful.